Hey everyone, what is going on here? NAV erosion, all right? NAV erosion. Very sensitive topic in these communities, these yield max communities, these defiance communities, these high yield ETF communities. If anyone questions NAV erosion, in either sense, good or bad, typically, they'll be attacked, right? Because people feel very strongly one way or the other. But in most cases, especially when it comes to these yield max funds, if you look at, or if you search Tesla, for YouTube, most of them are typically negative, and their number one statement is NAV erosion, right? So investing in these is stupid because of NAV erosion, or you'll lose all your money in NAV erosion, right? So, it gets old, right? So anyway, I wanted to make this video just to talk about what NAV even is and how it goes up and down, and then you guys decide from there, right? Is there NAV erosion on these or is there not? So, and as always, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy making YouTube videos, when I have time, like now on my lunch break. So, what are we going to talk about? So, what is NAV? NAV is net asset value. That's what it stands for, NAV, net asset value of an investment fund's assets less liabilities. So, assets less liabilities, divided by the number of shares outstanding. And that's how they come up with the NAV, right? So, what does that mean, right? That means that's how it's priced, right? So, assets minus liabilities divided by outstanding shares. Okay, so what makes NAV erode, right? If you look in red here, I have the list of the NAV eroders. So let's scroll in. We'll make it nice and big so everyone can see. So this is just so you know, mainly yield max style. This subject comes up mainly because of the yield max funds, because they have such a crazy yield that that's why they're getting attacked, because they're the Tesla mainly, right? Because they had the 70% yield, then it went down to 60, now it's at like 50, but whatever, right? So what makes the NAV or the Tesla or the yield max fund prices go down? For the most part, it's just the underlying stock, because these yield max funds, they start a synthetic position, which is a buy call and a sell put, and that mimics the movement of the underlying stock. So when they say Tesla NAV erosion, no, Tesla is going down because Tesla went down, okay? The underlying stock has almost everything to do with it. So Tesla went down, so we go down with it. That's pretty much how it works, right? So when they say NAV erosion, the main thing is just, first off, look at the underlying stock, right? And this is mainly for the yield max funds. Another eroder is options premium cost, right? So, when we sell calls, they make the synthetic position and then they sell calls, right? So when they sell calls and they do good, in most cases, they won't have to buy out, or the buyout would be minimal. But like a week like this, for example, if you guys are watching this currently, we have a 217.50 strike, and Tesla's, it's Monday, it's already at 223, right? So there's going to be a cost to close that, right? So that cost will debit it'll get added to the liabilities, and it would negatively affect our NAV. So options premium cost is a factor. So this is why we typically want them to sell calls, a little more out of the money, so our options premium cost to close out these old positions won't be too much. Another NAV eroder is treasury loss. So what I mean by treasury loss, how could you lose money on treasuries? Well, if they had to sell treasuries before the expiration of the treasury and the treasury is actually not worth as much as it was, they could essentially be selling it for a loss. That may be very minimal in the scheme of things, but it's a factor. Again, I believe it is. What do I know? I'm just explaining what I think, So what else? The distribution payment, right? So we get paid monthly, and every time we get paid, right, what happens? The NAV goes down by that payment, right? But that already should have been added to it, right? That should have been added to the NAV, right? So, but regardless, it makes the NAV go down, and that's understood. Every time we get paid, the NAV goes down, the price goes down. But if we did not, if that's not offsetting options premium that we made, it could be the last one, which is a return on capital, meaning they're going to actually just pay us our own money, right? They're paying us a portion or all in our own money. The only good thing about that is it's not really, we don't have to pay taxes on it. Again, not tax advice, but that's the only good thing. We don't want to see return on capital. We really don't. But it is possible, and it was possible in the September distribution. Everyone should have got a notification that pretty much the September payment was all return on capital. So it does happen, and it can happen. So those are the NAV eroders. So when you say NAV erosion, this is what it is. This is how the NAV goes down. And by the way, I'm not a know-it-all. I take in, I'm learning from you guys too. There's a lot of smart people that watch my content. And that being said, if I missed anything, please let me know. All right? And I'll add it. And then I'll update my video later. But I think I got everything. These are the NAV eroders. Now, who are the NAV appreciators, right? I couldn't think of a fancy word, so this is all I got, NAV appreciators. So obviously, I put NAV appreciation. Maybe I should make it appreciators to make it a little more fun, right? Appreciators. Oh, where the hell's the O? Appreciators. All right, NAV appreciators, what do you got? All right, let's get this. There you go. I got to get those stupid tabs out of the way. There you go. All right. Who appreciates the NAV? The NAV goes down, all right? It erodes because of the items on the right, but let's focus on the good stuff, the items on the left. So when the underlying stock goes up, the NAV goes up, right? With yield max, of course it's limited. It's limited because of what we talked about before, and that's the options premium cost. So depending on where the strike is, we would typically get almost 100% of that appreciation up to the strike price. Outside of that, it's very, it's limited, if anything. So again, we follow the underlying all the way down and slightly up, right? Because we're limited on the upside, but we take all the downside. Yes, that sucks. But if the underlying stock, for the most part, always goes up in time, and if it goes up gradually, great. If it doesn't, sometimes we suffer. But in the end, all in all, if the underlying stock will go up overall, then we should be okay. Again, these funds are so new, so time will tell. What's another NAV appreciator? Options premium income. Duh, right? The whole point of this fund is to produce income from options premium. For yield max, right? They're selling calls and they make a premium. Right? As soon as they make that premium, right, that goes into the cash, or they add it to treasuries, whatever they do. It goes into one of them, and it increases the NAV, right? Because assets, it goes into the assets, because assets minus liabilities equals typically what? The market value of the fund divided by outstanding shares equals NAV. All right, so what else? They make treasury interest, because as you know, they don't physically own any of the underlying stocks, because they do the synthetic position, but they do put most, if not all of their money in treasuries, and they earn interest. And as they earn interest, which again, I don't know, there's frequency of payout. Maybe like they have a 12/31 coming up, 12/31 expiration. Maybe we'll get a big treasury payment for that, right? And if they do get it on 12/31, when are we getting paid that? Maybe we'll get paid that later. What else? I put 10% reserve, but what the hell does that mean, right? So I was advised that all ETFs, I believe all ETFs, must pay at least 90% of the earned income. So the distribution payment, obviously on the right, is an eroder. But if they only pay out 90% of what they make in income and they hold the 10%, guess what? That helps the NAV, right? I would actually prefer that, right? Because I do want to preserve some capital gains here. I want to, I want more for my buck. I want my average to actually be below the current price because I want a higher yield on cost than the actual yield. That is not the case today for me. Maybe some of you guys do have it. Tesla is going up today, but yeah, that is what I would consider an appreciator, reserving, not paying out the full 100%, but reserving 10% for the NAV. So yeah, if I missed any NAV appreciators, guys, let me know. Again, I'll add it to the list if it makes sense, and I'll update my video. But yeah, that's all I got. And I know I talked about Yield Max, but you guys love Defiance as well, Defiance ETFs, QQQY. I mean, it's the same idea, but it's slightly different, right? They sell puts daily. They call it 0 DTE, 0 days till expiration, but in reality, they expire the following day for the most part. So, but regardless of that, they sell puts, they get a premium, and that premium goes into the NAV, right? It goes into the NAV. But if the stock price, or the index, I should say, goes up, if it goes above the strike, guess what? That's all income. If it does not, if it goes, at the price or slightly below, there's an amount, there's a cost that they have to pay to close that put, right? So that would negatively affect the NAV. Or, if it goes way down, there is no limit, right? If the index tanks, they have to cover that. That's all loss. So again, similar idea. It could go, sideways, and if negatively affect them. But since it's one day, you got to figure there is like you're not, unless the world ends, nothing crazy can happen in one day. I like the fact that they actually, sell, 1 day puts. It's pretty cool. I'm liking them more and more, honestly. I do really love the Yield Max, but they've been killing me with their, out of the money calls. But neither here nor there. This is the NAV. This is how the NAV moves. Does NAV erosion happen on these funds? Of course it can. NAV erosion can happen. NAV appreciation can happen. But, it's instead of just saying NAV erosion, let's just try to understand the fund. How is it moving? Okay. NAV erosion. Okay. Continue, speak. NAV erosion, how? Are you a non-believer in the underlying? Of course, and to you, this is all NAV erosion, right? It all depends. I mean, just don't let people scare you when they say NAV erosion, because I'm sure it is scary. Oh my God, I'm going to lose all my capital. Which, of course, it can happen. If the underlying goes out of business and they don't get out in time, sure, there you go. NAV eroded, done. You're done. But, it just, let's be real here. But anyway, I just wanted to make this video to hopefully help people understand what the NAV is and how NAV does erode and versus how NAV appreciates. I know it's not as simple as NAV erosion doesn't exist. Of course, it exists. It's just a word. It's a definition. It's a NAV going down, right? Just like the NAV goes up. It goes both ways. So as long as the person, it's your money, the investor, you understand it, then you could do what you want, right? You could buy it, you could sell it, you could not buy it, you could stay the hell away from these. It's up to you. That the beauty of it is it's your money. So who gives a crap what anyone thinks what you're doing, right? That's the bottom line. So as always, not financial advice, but I'm just doing this for fun. And speaking of fun, if there's any other topics, I'm trying to get ideas of what people really want to see or hear or listen to. Because I'm a man of the people. I'm the people's YouTube. No, maybe. But anyway, just leave in the comments. Let me know what you guys want to see, what type of content. I know you want to see Tesla daily videos. I'm doing that. I know you want to see QY daily videos. I'm almost doing that. But outside of that, what else? What's entertaining to you? What do you want to hear the everyday guy like me talk about? All right, I'm out of here, guys. Time to eat lunch, and that's it. All right, hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please click like. The likes are needed, right? It helps the YouTube. Leave a comment, whatever. Share it, be brave and share it. Why not? Anyway, I'm out of here. Later.